Another week of greatest hits and another classic album. And choosing tracks from the album, which we'll tell you what it is in a moment, is my guest, Dilys Sowrey. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get you on the show. I feel that I've neglected my duty in getting you down from the north.
Yeah, it's a very long way.
It is. It is. But isn't it funny? The longer people spend on the Isle of Man, and certainly some of the older folk that I know who've lived here all their lives, they still think of it as quite a way away.
Well, they do, but then I have to go quite a long distance to work every day. People think it's crazy that I go from the north to the south every day, but it's beautiful.
And back, you don't even stay overnight.
I don't stay overnight now.
Thank you for coming anyway. Look, let's talk about your music before we talk about the classic album.
Okay.
When did you start playing or singing? Were you a little girl when it all started?
Yes, I was a little girl. I was 8 years old when I started to play the guitar, and probably around the same time that I started to play the piano. My dad was a well-known singer, Norman Cacken, on the Isle of Man, and he thought it would be a marvellous thing if his daughters, who showed signs and promise as singers, could accompany themselves so they wouldn't be reliant upon piano accompanists.
Ah, so that's how it happened.
Yeah.
But presumably you liked it. Very few youngsters stay with it because you're still playing, and we'll talk about your music now later in the week. But you must have enjoyed it.
Yes, I did enjoy it. The very first time that I sang, I was with my dad and my sister, and we were at Sandygate Chapel, and we were singing, I think it was Amazing Grace, something like that, together. Yeah. And then we got so many compliments at the end. My head was so big, they could hardly get me out through the door, my dad said.
And you liked that
yes,
feeling?
It was a good feeling.
Yeah, I think, you go back to school plays and school concerts, when the audience appreciate it, you feel good.
Yeah.
It feels great.
Yeah, certainly at Andrea's school we did a lot of singing as well. And at the grammar school too, I did. Now,
I've recorded you, this is a few years ago now, I've recorded you with Marlene Hendy. So that duo, that's still going?
Yep, very much, yes.
And that's been part of your life for quite a while.
I think it's about 27 years.
Gosh, is it?
We first sang in the Guild in 1992. And it's a well-known story to those people who know us. But I'd heard Marlene sing somewhere and thought her voice was just wonderful. And I met her it was a kind of a Greasy Spoon cafe in Douglas. And I approached her looking rather wild, she thought. I think I had, not cross, I don't mean cross, or wild like an ape or anything like that. I just mean that I had kind of long hair and everything. And she thought, ooh, who's this woman coming towards me? But then I just said to her, I heard you sing somewhere, and I think our voices would go well together. I think it would be a good thing if we could maybe sing a duet in the Guild. So that's how we started.
Brilliant. The Bohemian meets Marlene. There we are.
Yeah.
Now, you've chosen a Joni Mitchell album, which is so special for me as well. I absolutely adore it. Tell us the title of the album you chose.
The album is called Blue.
Beautiful. When did you first hear it? When it came out?
No, because at that time I was only 8 years old. I think.
Oh, I forgot you're so young.
Hang on a minute. Was it 73 or was it 1970? I can't remember. I think I was about 8.
It came out in 71.
Oh, right. I was 6 then. And at that time, I was thinking about this last night, and I thought at that time I was really into another singer who wasn't quite as cool, and his name was Val Doonican. And
nothing wrong with Val. I love a cardigan.
Apart from his jumpers.
No, I like a cardi.
So, yes, I loved Val Doonican's songs.
Well, so when did you get into this album?
Right. Well, that was around 1992 as well, the year that I met Marlene.
Wow.
But it wasn't to do with Marlene. I was away seeing my cousin, John Wharton, and he's an accomplished guitarist, and he introduced me to the song Big Yellow Taxi, which I hadn't even heard before. And he said, you'd be really good to sing this. So he taught me how to play it and sing it and everything. And then he sent me 2 of Joni's CDs, Court and Spark and Blue. So I got into them then.
Well, I'm glad you did, because it's a fabulous excuse to play some tracks from it. Which one are we going to start with?
Right, the song that we're going to start with is My Old Man. Mm-hmm. And I just love this song. I love the lyrics. I love the way that Joni's voice moves up and down, the cadences, the flow of her voice. It's very lyrical. And I think the words are quite indicative of that time. because I remember she says in it, the frying pan's too wide. And I was thinking to myself, you'd probably have to say grill now, or something a bit healthier than that. But.
Yeah. I'm never really sure which old man she's talking about in this, because there were a lot of boyfriends and
Yes.
gentlemen in her life. It was quite a troubled time as well for her. So
Yeah,
do
it
we know who
was.
this is about?
Well, apparently it was Graham Nash,
Okay,
who
that
was
makes sense.
previously in the
Yeah.
Hollies and then
Yeah.
in Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Okay. My Old Man, first track from Joni Mitchell's Blue.
My old man, he's a singer in the park. He's a walker in the rain. He's a dancer in the dark. We don't need no piece of paper from the city hall, keeping us tied and true. My old man, keeping away my blues. He's my sunshine in the morning. He's my fireworks at the end of the day. He's the warmest chord I ever heard. Play that warm chord, play and stay, baby. We don't need no piece of paper from the city hall, keeping us tied and true. My old man, keeping away my blues. But when he's gone, me and them lonesome blues collide. The bed's too big, the frying pan's too wide. Then he comes home and he takes me in his loving arms, and he tells me all his troubles, and he tells me all my charms. We don't need no piece of paper from the city hall, keeping us tied and true. No, my old man, keeping away my blues. But when he's gone, me and them lonesome blues collide. The bed's too big, the frying pan's too wide. My old man, he's a singer in the park. He's a walker in the rain. He's a dancer in the dark. We don't need no piece of paper from the city hall, keeping us tied and true. No, my old man, keeping away my lonesome blues.
Greatest hits on Manx Radio. And what a classic album we have for you this week. I'm delighted that it's come round. Joni Mitchell's Blue. Fabulous album chosen for us by Dilys Sowrey, who's my guest.
Hello.
And thank you. Thank you for choosing such an amazing album. See, you're so young. When we talked yesterday, I forget that it's been part of my life for about 20 years more than you. So it's ridiculous. But did it really resonate from the moment you heard it?
Yes, it really did. I feel that, people can relate to Joni Mitchell, women in particular. You feel as if you're curled up intimately on the couch with her, sharing her innermost thoughts.
Yeah, well, I must be very well in touch with my feminine side, because it does exactly the same for me. And not a duff track on the album. So,
No,
it
I love them all.
it just, for me, it's along the lines of Carole King's Tapestry in its completeness.
Yes.
I don't know if you'd...
I love Carole King
Yeah.
as well. I couldn't tell you the individual tracks of Tapestry, but
Because when I heard that, I just wanted to play it again and again and again.
Yeah.
So, Joni Mitchell, open tunings. Now, we mentioned yesterday you're a musician and you play the guitar and you sing and you've entertained thousands of people on the Isle of Man, all over the place as well. Do you ever experiment with her open tunings?
I haven't particularly experimented with her open tunings, but I've experimented with Kate Rusby's open tunings, and I believe that Joni Mitchell's open tunings came about as a result of her having had polio when she was a child and having to accommodate quite a weak left hand.
No, I never knew that. Gosh. Because I know later in her career she got very jazzy. And there's some amazing albums with people like Jaco Pastorius on bass and some sensational people playing with her later on.
Even, her boyfriend, shall we say, Jackson Browne was a boyfriend, I believe, Leonard Cohen. So they were all influenced by her and she by them.
Now let's go back to your music. You've got something coming on at the moment, which is a sort of an embryonic musical. Is that right?
Well, kind of. It's kind of a musical. If anyone has seen the Ballads of Child Migration, which I had the pleasure to go and see last November, it's a little similar to that, where I'm hoping to have some musicians on the stage, a narrator, some film footage, archive film footage, some original pieces of writing, and it's all to do with my family. So on my mother's side, because my great-grandfather was the lighthouse keeper at the Point of Ayre Lighthouse, in 1921, and then his daughter, who was my grandma, was teaching at the time in Stranraer, and he didn't like the idea of leaving a young lady in Stranraer on her own, so he virtually made her come over to the island to join the rest of the family. And then when she came over here, she became teacher at Bride School, and she met my granddad, Alfred Skinner, who'd served in the Highland Regiment in World War One. And then they became farmers in Bride. And so when she became a farmer's wife, she had to give up teaching, which seems rather sad to me because I'm a teacher now and I wouldn't like to have to give it up. So they lived in a farm down in Bride, at Ballafell in Bride, Cranstall. And there were very many characters around at the time. And because our family have a gift of mimicry, I'm quite familiar with those characters, almost as if I knew them myself. So I thought I would just write down, particularly after my mother died in 2015, I would write down all the memories and little stories and try and make a little kind of a musical out of them.
And hopefully we're going to hear some of this in a couple of weeks with Sarah Hendy.
Yes, I'm doing a little show with Sarah. She's very kindly asked me to go to the Manx Museum, the Eye Museum with her, and we're going to do some research into some of the characters. For instance, we might find out a bit more about what my great-grandfather did at the Point of Ayre Lighthouse. We might find out whether there was a bit of a connection there with a renowned Manx family, because I've been talking to Charles Gard about that, so that might happen. And also, I want to find out a bit more about my grandma and her teaching. There's something quite interesting there as well.
Being a teacher, as you say.
Yes, because I'm a teacher.
Well, good luck with that. We'll monitor that. We'll keep our eyes on that for that show coming up with Sarah Hendy in the not-too-distant future. Yeah. Second track from the album Blue. What's it going to be tonight?
Well, it's going to be Carey. Okay. And I love playing it myself, personally, on the guitar. I don't play it as well as Joni Mitchell, but I do love to play it, and I quite often play it at parties. It's quite a lively tune. And I believe it is about a specific man called Carey who captured Joni's attention when she was on a hippie commune in Matala in Crete. And he had flaming red hair, and Joni always said that she had difficulty remembering names, but she remembered his because she just thought of carrot. So Carey. And it talks about the Mermaid Cafe and just sounds as if they're having the most wonderful time. Makes me wish I could be there with them.
The wind is in from Africa. Last night I couldn't sleep. Oh, you know it sure is hard to leave here, Carey, but it's really not my home. My fingernails are filthy. I've got beach tar on my feet, and I miss my clean white linen and my fancy fancy French cologne. Oh, Carrie, get out your cane. And I'll put on some silk. Oh, you're a mean old daddy, but I like you. Come on down to the Mermaid Cafe, and I will buy you a bottle of wine, and we'll laugh and toast to nothing and smash our empty glasses down. Let's have a round for these freaks and these soldiers, a round for these friends of mine. Let's have another round for the bright red devil who keeps me in this tourist town. Come on, Carrie, get out your cane. I'll put on some silk. Oh, you're a mean old daddy, but I like you. I like you, I like you, I like you. Maybe I'll go to Amsterdam, or maybe I'll go to Rome, and rent me a grand piano and put some flowers around my room. But let's not talk about fare thee wells now. The night is a starry dome, and they're playing that scratchy rock and roll beneath the Matla moon. Come on, Carrie, get out your cane. Put on some silk. You're a mean old daddy, but I like you. The wind is in from Africa. Last night I couldn't sleep. Oh, you know it sure is hard to leave here, but it's really not my home. Maybe it's been too long a time since I was scrambling down in the street. Now they got me used to that clean white linen and that fancy French cologne. Oh, Carrie, get out your cane. I'll put on my finest silk. Go to the Mermaid Cafe, have fun tonight. I said, oh, you're a mean old daddy, but you're out of sight.
Greatest hits on Manx Radio. Time for another track from our featured classic album, chosen for us this week by my special guest, Dilys Sowrey.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for coming along. It's a cracking album. We'll talk about that in a moment. I want to explore your going to concerts, because you talked about the fact you grew up on the Isle of Man.
Yes.
And people came here a lot more, certainly some years ago. Yeah. When you were of an age, a lot more bands, I think, used to come through the Isle of Man, especially in the summer. So did you get to see loads and loads of bands here?
Not really, because you might know my son Ben.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. And, well, I got married very young and I had Ben young. So I didn't really go out much until I was about, I don't know, 26 or something like that. And then you have to get babysitters and everything. But I've been to see a few since then. And I took Ben and Geraldine, my daughter, to a couple of music festivals away, so that because I knew that when they got older they would love to go to them, and I wanted to find out what they were like myself.
What a good idea.
Yeah.
Which ones did you go to?
Do you know, we went to Tea in the Park, and Ben had with him the Manx radio recording equipment, which I was terrified that he was going to lose or something. So he was only 15 at the time, and he was working up at the station on a Saturday, taking people's sports results off the phone and putting them onto the show. So he was recording people, and he had a backstage pass. He managed to secure that. And he managed to interview the Gallagher brothers, Gary Newman, all sorts of bands that had so many swear words in their answers. It was constant beeps when he brought it back. Yeah.
Good lad.
Yeah, so we did that. But one of the best live performances I went to, and it's not really a band, it was a musical in the West End, in the Noel Coward Theatre last year. And it was called Girl from the North Country, which featured Bob Dylan hits, and it was absolutely amazing. Everybody that took part in it had the most beautiful voices, and it was a small, intimate theatre, and I was sitting fairly near the front, and the music was played on the stage, kind of acoustically, and I just absolutely love that. If you can find that online, Girl from the North Country, it's well worth listening to.
I will look that up. It's something that passed me by. I'm
really
appalled with myself.
Well,
But I will get some diligence on this, and I will get some of that going. If you hadn't have chosen Joni Mitchell, who else might you have considered for this?
I considered Elvis Costello,
Ah,
but then it would have been a bit crass because it would have had to be his greatest hits or something
Yeah.
like that. I like Christine Collister, the
Yes.
local singer Christine Collister. I love her swooping melodies, and I just
Fabulous
love her
voice.
voice. Wonderful
Fabulous
voice.
Well, you've gone for Joni Mitchell, and I'm delighted you have. Now, we're going to ignore the fact that it's not Christmas for this next track, because it does have a huge Christmassy feel to it. Talk us through it.
Well, the song is called River. And basically, I think many people feel that it's Joni's worries and grieving for her lost daughter, because she had a daughter when she was very young and felt unable to support her daughter because she wasn't really in full-time employment at the time. She was just a bit of a gigging folk musician. And so she had her daughter adopted. But also, other people have said it may be that she was missing certain boyfriends or recovering from broken love affairs, because many of her songs seem to feature that kind of theme. But basically, she's saying it's Christmas time, everything's supposed to be perfect, the bells are ringing, everyone is enjoying themselves, but I just wish that I had a river that I could skate away on and just remove myself from all of this.
Coming on Christmas, they're cutting down trees, they're putting up reindeer and singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. But it don't snow here, it stays pretty green. I'm gonna make a lot of money, then I'm gonna quit this crazy scene. I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long I would teach my feet to fly. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I made my baby cry. He tried hard to help me, he put me at ease, and he loved me so not he made me weak in the knees. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I'm so hard to handle, I'm selfish and I'm sad. Now I gone and lost the best baby that I ever had. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long I would teach my feet to fly. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I made my baby say goodbye. It's coming on Christmas, they're cutting down trees, they're putting up reindeer, singing songs of joy and peace. I wish I had a river I could skate away on.
River. Just a beautiful track. Not just for Christmas, any time will do. From Joni Mitchell's album Blue. The featured classic album that was chosen by my guest Dilys Sowrey just a couple of weeks ago. And one thing we talked about was how open and honest she was. It was almost like at this album and in all the early stuff, she was opening up and saying, look, this is me, warts and all.
Apparently, Chris Christopherson advised her to save something of herself as she was exposing her vulnerability.
I like that quote. That was Chris Christopherson. But I know exactly what he meant, because you felt, but again, having sort of time on my side, having lived with this album for so long, there's nuances about her relationships, the way she was thinking, and musically developing. And I think there's an honesty in her writing that is right up there.
Yes, absolutely. And some people have described it almost as a religious experience, listening to her music.
Looking at other artists, do you find that you can see through them if they're not being honest?
Well, yes. I mean, sometimes you think to yourself, they're just singing about a broken heart, but really they've been happily married for 40 years or something, you know, or they're just singing about love and they've never actually experienced it. They may be using other people's ideas.
It's certainly true when a very young artist is given a song to sing that is completely inappropriate.
Oh, you mean you're thinking X Factor and things like that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm 16 and I want to sing about all the greatest times of my life, and I want to sing about all the hearts.
I did it my way.
Yes. I think, well, no, you didn't.
No.
You really didn't. So there's a time and a place for an artist to get stuck into that. But if you're writing your material, then you've got to draw from yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I would say so.
And you write, obviously.
Well, I've just been writing recently for this little musical that I'm trying to do about my mum's life, and that's about personal experience. But sometimes I wonder if I should make it a little bit more general so that perhaps it appeals to more people. I don't know, really.
Now, we mentioned the fact that you got married quite young, had Ben quite young, and didn't see as many bands as or artists as you would have liked, but you did catch up on a few later. You made up for it on the Isle of Man.
I did. Well, I think it was only last year I saw Suzanne Vega.
Wonderful artist.
And I've always loved Suzanne Vega, and I think she has similarities to Joni Mitchell in that she can craft a story very well.
I love the hat. Do you remember the hat she popped on for certain songs and took off
for
certain songs? It was like the most intimate little prop. I'm going to put a hat on for this. Don't ask me why.
Yes, that's right.
That's great.
Yeah.
So that was here. Who else have you seen here?
Well, I saw the great Tom Jones,
who
really sounds exactly the same as he did in the 1960s. Brilliant.
Yeah, what a boy.
So everyone had a great dance to him.
Yes,
I don't think anything was thrown.
I think it was.
Oh, was it?
I think a couple of pairs of scanties might have made their way under that. I think they did.
Not by me.
Okay.
And then I also went to see...
Not mine either.
I went to see Elton John here, and he was amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't have a seat, which, at my age, but never mind. No, I was dancing most of the time, so that was great. And basically, I love to go and see local bands. So at the minute, I love the Fectones.
Oh, yes.
And I've always loved DCAC.
Yes.
They're fabulous. And a little bit of Rosie, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty similar, aren't they?
Yeah.
And of course, Caution Runners, because Ben was singing with Caution Runners. So I always love them as well.
Well, keep supporting the local music. You heard it here.
Yeah.
If Dilys and I are doing it, you should do it. Get it? It's good for you. Let's wrap up our week of Joni Mitchell. And where are we going to go for the final track?
Well, my final track is going to be A Case of You, which has been compared to some of the greatest love songs. Basically, she sings, she's a lonely painter. She lives in a box of paints. She's frightened by the devil and drawn to those who ain't.
I know this song so well, and yet when we started going through songs together earlier, I thought, isn't that one called Canada? Well, for obvious reasons, I had it in my head anyway. So
and James Taylor plays the guitar on it, and I love James Taylor music. I often play his music at home. So that's something that I didn't realise until I did a little bit of research.
Well, Dilys, thank you for coming in. We look forward to hearing lots more about the musical, the family musical, and the stories of your family through the ages here on the Isle of Man with Sarah Hendy in the not-too-distant future. Good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
And thanks again for coming in.
Thank you.
before our love got lost, you said, I am as constant as a northern star. And I said, constantly in the darkness, where's that at? If you want me, I'll be in the bar. On the back of a cartoon coaster, in the blue TV screen light, I drew a map of Canada. Oh, Canada, with your face sketched on it twice. Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. It tastes so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling, and I would still be on my feet. Oh, I would still be on my feet. I am a lonely painter. I live in a box of paints. I'm frightened by the devil, and I'm drawn to those ones that ain't afraid. I remember that time you told me, you said, love is touching souls. Surely you touch mine, 'cause part of you pours out of me in these lines from time to time. Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. It tastes so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling. Still I'd be on my feet. I would still be on my she knew your life, she knew your devils and your deeds, and she said, go to him, stay with him if you can, but be prepared to bleed. Oh, but you are in my blood, you're my holy wine. You're so bitter, bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling. Still I'd be on my feet. I would still be on my feet.
A Case of You, Joni Mitchell from the album Blue, chosen for us by my very special guest Dilys Sowrey, who joined me a couple of weeks ago on this here programme Greatest Hits. There'll be more guests from the programme in podcast form coming right here to isleofman.com, so keep checking back, and thank you for joining me. I'm Marc Tyley. This is Manx Radio, Greatest Hits, the Guests Podcasts.